Hey guys, welcome back to Tom's 100 Hectare Homestead. Today I'm going to show you why you should get an African blue basil. Let's get to it. So this right beside me is my African blue basil. I have them dotted all the way around my house here, and the reason I really love them is because they smell amazing and they really are beautiful. I planted them initially for my bees because the bees absolutely love them. They flower all year round, so there's no worries of having to plant something each season for your bees. This is also a culinary basil, so that means that you can use it in your kitchen. And the best part about it is that this is a perennial. So that means that you plant it once and you won't have to plant it next year or the year after that. It just depends on how you look after it. So they are quite frost hardy actually. After the last frost is hit, I'll go and I'll cut it right back. And you'll see that it'll start to shoot up new stems and they grow really quickly. The way to propagate this plant is by cuttings, not by seed. Because believe it or not, they actually don't produce seeds. They are actually sterile. They are a breed of basil, and so you can only propagate them via cuttings. So I just broke off this branch right here, right now, and I can propagate easily 3 plants out of this, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is how I grow it. I literally will go to the place where I want to grow this and stick it in the ground and it will grow. Let me show you. So here it is, and here's the one that I just took a cutting off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch all of the flowers off like so, because the flowers actually take energy from the plant instead of the plant putting energy back into rooting. So there we go, like that. I'm going to remove maybe just one stem, and you don't have to use any rooting hormone because the odds are that it will grow. So if you wanted to increase your chances of it rooting, you could use rooting hormone. But I go just where I want to plant it and I stick it in the ground, like so. So I have an empty spot here. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna place it in the ground and pat it down a bit, and voila! I have another open spot over here, but I don't want to plant it there because I have a clivia, but I'm going to plant it right here, and voila. So this is what I started these from just sticking them in the ground. Right here, here's another one, there's 2 here, and I also started these 2 from just sticking it in the ground. You can see right here. So there's 2 different types of African blue basils, and I'm going to show you the 2 different types right now. So I have one type here and another type here, side by side from each other. So you might be asking, what's different? They look the same. Well, actually they're not. This one right here is more of a standard one, so they can grow actually quite large, up to 3 meters tall. And you can see mine here has quite a thick stem. This has only been planted for about 2 years, but sadly it actually split in half and fell down when we had heavy rain, so its height has decreased quite a bit. But this basil is best for cooking. It has bigger leaves, and it has more leaves than flowers. If you want your basil to produce bigger leaves and more of them than less flowers, you can pick off the flowers, not that one, you can pick off the flower buds, and they will produce more leaves and bigger leaves because they'll be putting all of their energy into growing leaves. Then this is the basil that I showed you just now. You can see that the leaves are a lot smaller, they are darker green, and they also have purple under their leaf. These basils are more of a bushier type and they don't grow tall. These bees absolutely love them. Bees also love this one, and they're not really used for cooking. They're more of an ornamental basil, but they smell like basil, they taste like basil, they just don't have as big of a leaf. Watering. Basils are quite drought tolerant, only when they have established themselves. When you've planted a new basil and you're waiting for it to establish, which will take about 6 months, you're going to have to water it regularly. Fertilizer. I don't fertilize mine that often. If you do want to use fertilizer, I do suggest that you use fish emulsion, a nice organic fertilizer that you can use as liquid fertilizer, as a root fertilizer, or you can use it as a foliar spray. Just warning you, it does stink. Another thing about basil is that they do attract a lot of bees. So if you're allergic to bees, then I suggest you don't plant it close to your house. Basils growing in pots. If you're asking, can you grow a basil in a pot? Yes, you can. You can. You can grow basil in a pot. You can plant it in a nice big pot, about 30 liters or so, and put lots of organic material in there, nice beautiful compost, but you will have to fertilize them more often, and you will have to water them quite often, about every second day. Basil is used as a companion plant in my garden. I use it as a companion plant with tomatoes. I use it to attract bees so that I get higher pollination rates. I also use it to attract beneficial insects such as praying mantises. I've really found that it works. So you can see I actually have quite a few dotted around in my garden, and I'm planning to plant more. So this looks like just one plant, right? But it's actually not. There's one plant, the big one. There's two. So there's two. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any more questions, just ask.